right, in this video, we are going to talk about the 5 most important characteristics that make up a good coach. So the very first one is understanding your values and your beliefs. So I think that this one is so important, because if we don't understand these things, we are just floundering. We have no definition of what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's moving forward, what's moving backward. Like, we're just floundering, and we're just like doing that dance of just like being at the behest of the client, which I get it. Coaches are in a service-based industry, but there has to be a foundation, in my opinion, for coaches to go out and be successful. Because when coaches typically work with a client, you ask a client, what are your goals and where are you trying to move? And the client looks at you like this with a blank stare, and they're just like, I just want to like be better. And it's like, what does being better mean, right? So if a coach doesn't have that foundation already built, they can't lead someone that doesn't know where they should go. If I'm coaching 50 people, I have like a goal in terms of where I'm moving all of these people, like what moving forward looks like to me or means to me, independent of theirs. Not that I'm not taking their goals into consideration, but without that, in my opinion, we can't have fulfillment, right? Like, we can't feel good about what we're doing and the impact that we're having. But to have those goals and all of that, you have to understand what are your values, what are your beliefs, what are your principles, all of those things. So I think, bar none, that is the most important thing that a coach needs to sit down and put some time and energy into, and defining and being okay with those things evolving over time as they gain experience, as they go from a young 20-year-old coach to a 38-year-old coach, because that will change.
When you say the values, you're talking both personally and professionally. So, because there's a blurry line there. I don't think that there is a blurry line. I think that if that is a blurry line, we need to stop making that a blurry line. When I say blurry, meaning like there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, I mean, what makes you you, right? What makes you you are the things that you believe. I get it. You can try to like put up this like cement wall and try to separate those things. But as a coach, working with people, having conversations, being this close to people, if you put up a cement wall and you try to avoid those things, I just don't think that you're going to be that successful as a coach. We also have to understand that we're not the right coach for everyone. I think that's really important. We're not the right fit for everyone, and not everyone is the right fit for us. This
is a lot of coaching yourself, because you have to uncover who you are and what you value. If it's something that you haven't spent time doing yet in your career, it's something that's going to take some work for you to define and think about and reflect on and refine over time, and then put forth like, these are the things I value, and then this is the kind of from a business perspective, this is the way I'm going to behave because of those values.
So number 2 would be humility. So I think a coach needs to have a great amount of humility. What does that mean as a coach? It means that you are honest enough to admit that you don't know everything. You're honest enough to admit that just because you think you have the right answer for the person sitting across from you, you have to have enough humility to really think and discern on how you communicate your thoughts to them. Because if we all go forward with like, I'm the professional, I'm the coach, I've been doing this for 2 decades, I know everything, you know nothing, blah, right? It's just like, that's probably not going to work as a coach. So that characteristic of humility is really important. Or if you're like, if you're not even that, right? If you're not like this like super proud and like person that thinks you know everything, but if you're just like giving someone something via a prescription and you're trying to get them to hear, but you keep stopping there, you have to have the humility to understand what's that gap. The gap is probably the thing that I'm giving them, and maybe my knowledge is lacking, so I need to increase my knowledge, or maybe the way that I'm conveying this prescription to this person is lacking and I need them to be more compliant, or whatever the case is. That's like having humility to like look in the mirror and just be like, okay, how can I get them there without just saying they're not doing the work, they're not blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's always like looking in the mirror and just challenging yourself. I'm like, well, where did I mess up? Or what am I doing that's wrong? So humility is so important. I think it'll catapult us forward, and it'll build trust with a client when they understand like, okay, this is a relationship. I kind of see that, like, they don't think that they're better than me, or they're definitely more knowledgeable than me, but they have enough,
judging.
they have enough humility to admit that they're wrong. That's a big thing, right? Admit that you're wrong. And maybe it's not always admitting it forthright to the other person, but at least admit it to yourself. Characteristic number 3, it would be, I could use, like I had a couple words I was bouncing around, like care for other people, but I was like, no, let me like go to the highest, right? I was like, love for other people. You have to have love for other people. It's a characteristic that says that we do things for other people expecting absolutely nothing in return. I get it. You're a coach. That person is paying you, right? So you're expecting that they pay you in return, but you don't want to, let's say that I was working with you and you had this goal. I wouldn't even say goal. It's a goal. And you reach that goal. Me not having love for you and your goal, I would probably rush to Instagram and post that so that everyone could see that it was me that got you to your goal. That's an example of me saying that I want to get you to your goal, or I want to do this thing for you so that I benefit in return, right? But like if we kind of transcend that outside of exercise and nutrition and all of that, that's a powerful thing, right? Like imagine if everyone walked around this world and they're just like, I want to do things for people and I don't want anything in return. I don't even want to thank you. I don't even want acknowledgement in return. Ooh, that kind of goes back to humility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these things kind of build off of each other, but actually caring and loving the people that you're working with. And I know that's a very, very strong word, but I don't think it should be, right? You actually want to move those people forward and you don't want anything in return. It's
one of the coolest things to witness. I mean, obviously being around our network of coaches and being able to like be a fly on the wall when those conversations are happening, or obviously being married to a coach, I get to overhear a lot of those conversations. And it's one of the coolest things to see someone like so selflessly concerned with someone else and just there to support them, like unconditionally.
Yep. So this is the 4th most important characteristic, is the ability to be personable. You have to have the ability to connect with a person. I can't tell you how many smart coaches I've met, like genius level coaches that don't have a lot of success with people. And the reason why they don't have a lot of success with people is they can't link, they can't connect, they can't resonate, they can't do that, right? Like they're just not personable. And I think you'll have a lot of coaches, especially nowadays, that are just like, well, I just want to sit behind this thing and just like type up training programs and send it and be done with it. And it's like, if it was that simple, man, I would know a lot more coaches that are just having great amounts of success. So we've said this for a long time. You can teach acumen, right? Or program design, and you can teach knowledge, but you can't teach bedside manner. You can't teach like that, like, let's just sit across from each other and have a really good conversation and enjoy that conversation. Yeah. And when I say you can't teach it, that doesn't mean you can't build it. Yeah, and the way that you build it is that you prioritize it and you have conversations with people, right?
I mean, it's such an obvious thing that like people do business or create relationships with people they like.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would pick the less skilled person, or they pick the person that they like over the more skilled person, assuming they're still going to get the outcome that they'd want, because that's going to be much more of an enjoyable experience for them.
Yeah, I think especially in this world, and I've said this for a long time, I think people hire coaches that they want to be like. They hire coaches that they want to emulate. They see something in that coach that they yearn for, right? I'm 0% chance I'm going out and hiring a coach that can't hold a conversation. 0% chance. So I think that's important. I think that's really, really important. And that ability to be personable, there's a lot of really good tactics that go along with that. How do you identify what's important to someone? How do you identify what someone prioritizes? How do you identify that priority and how I link this fitness thing to that priority? How do I have conversations with that person and simplify concepts that might be pretty complicated for that person to understand? How do I sit down and have a conversation with someone as to why they should prioritize the boring stuff, right? The walking, the sleeping, the digestion, and getting sunlight and all of those things. So I think being a very personable person is so important, because it just arms you with this ability to connect with people.
This is also very connected to humility, right? Because in the conversations that you're having with your client, this is not the time for you to be showcasing all the knowledge that you have to elevate your
Yeah.
self-perception. It's like truly investing in what is going on with this person and how can I understand them and their behaviors more so that I can offer more help.
Yep. And then the last one, it'd be competence. So you have to have knowledge, right? You have to know what you're doing. I kind of thought about it. I'm like, well, without the knowledge, can you actually make an impact? And knowledge is just so readily available, right? And I know we're an education company, we're saying that, and we understand that, and now we're, want to disseminate knowledge through this YouTube thing. But knowledge is so readily available. I think the difficult thing is understanding what is good knowledge versus not good knowledge, or beneficial knowledge versus not beneficial knowledge. But yeah, competence is important, but it's not in my top 4. Competence is just like understanding how to move forward with someone, having a system to work within, understanding how to design a training program, understanding just basic, anatomy and physiology. If you're working in person with someone and you want to get them from moving like this to moving like that, it's all of those things. That would be number 5 for me, would be competence.
In your top 5 characteristics, where does that, I guess, personality trait or type fit? Or
Gotcha.
Do you think that's something that maybe is just not as important as these 5?
Yeah, I don't think it's important at all, because I think you can have any type of personality and still connect with anyone. I think your personality is less important than understanding the person's personality that you're communicating with, right? Because in some instances, we all have to be chameleons, right? This whole idea of like personalization, that's a part of it, right? Like there's no single best way forward. So, if I could understand your personality versus the other person's personality, I'm gonna have different conversations with you, right? The way that I word things is going to be different. The way that I connect things is going to be different. So I think you could be a type A hard charger all day long, but if someone is in front of you that doesn't resonate with a type A hard charger, you just lost that person. So I do think, and I'm not saying like you have to be whatever everyone wants you to be. I'm not saying that, but you do have to conform to understanding what resonates with them.
I do like this 5 because I think at the end of the day, those 5 are going to be like very core in creating connection and delivering and helping someone actually achieve results, and then those results are going to create your success. Cool. Another video. I think we're on time.
All right, let's do it.